My name is Efren Peña. I am the campus pastor here at South Hills, Santa Clarita. If you don't know, we are one church with many campuses throughout California and Idaho. I think we are up to about 9 churches at the moment. And if you came to any of our campuses, stop by on Sunday on any of our campuses, you're going to feel exactly the love and the welcome and that you're receiving today here. And I encourage you, if you happen to be in another city, whether that be Costa Mesa or Corona or San Clemente, or if you happen to fly out to Idaho, which is a beautiful state, you can find the South Hills there, and you will be loved and welcome just as you are here. So we are in Family month and in week 3 of our series Rosters, and this has been an awesome relationship series about surrounding ourselves with the right people in order to accomplish the things that can sometimes feel impossible in life. And we've been talking, we said that you're going to need a solid starting 5. A solid starting 5, right? And if you are on your team, who are the other 4? Who are the other 4 people on your team? And we've been going through this entire month of identifying which are, or not which are the people in your life, but which are the types of people that you need in your life to surround yourself in order to accomplish great things. So who is on your roster? Right? They have to bring different things to the table. People with varied experiences, attitudes, ages, politics, and even theologies. And so we started off on week 1 with a ride or die. We need a ride or die. Someone that is going to be there no matter what, right? And then last week we talked about needing a coach in your life. Right? You need a coach in your life, someone who has gone through a little bit more than you have, someone who has some wisdom, someone who's kind of lived through life and can share those things and speak into your life and kind of give input to the things that you're going through or experiencing. And so today, we're going to be talking about sparring partner, and then last week, we're going to end with protege. So today, we are talking about you need a sparring partner. And I was thinking about getting some gloves and kind of like doing like a little ring here, but I didn't want to get hurt. That's at the end of it, right? And so let's start off with this question like I always like to do. Kind of get you to kind of start heading in the direction of my message. Did you ever, as a kid, try to hide something that you did wrong? Now, everyone has done that, right? We're in church, say the truth. Everyone has done that, right? And if you did you ever think that you were ever so clever, right, that no one would ever discover it? Most of us did. We thought, man, I'm going to hide this. No one's going to find out. But then someone figured it out because you were a kid and you sucked at hiding things, right? Maybe you pretended to clean up your room by shoving everything under your bed. Many have done that before. Or said you were going somewhere, but you went somewhere else. And I want to share a story, right? As a little kid, I went to Catholic school. Right, I went to Catholic school. My mom was a single parent, and she needed help, support, and encouragement, and someone with a bigger paddle than her. And so she sent me to Catholic school. No, I'm not offending the Catholics in the house, but if you went to Catholic school, you know what I'm talking about. The nuns swang for the fences. Anyway, so I went to Catholic school, and then I had some friends that lived in my neighborhood, and they were they were taking classes. Catechism classes, like classes to make their first communion. So if you don't go to Catholic school, you go to a public school, your parents who are Catholic will want to send you to these classes. So every Wednesday, my friends had to go to this class. It was about an hour long, and then we kind of walked to this. So I would accompany them to this class. But this particular Wednesday, we felt like the nudge to go see this little Spanish boy band that was kind of trying to be birthed from our community. And so it was in the build. They were going to rehearse, and it was in the building next door to the church. And so we walked in, we like, listen, let's just make a right. We go in there and we're just going to listen to them sing. And it was like a real young version of Backstreet Boys, but they were Spanish. They were Latinos. And so we went there and we're listening, we're grooving in this apartment building and we're having a blast. We're having a super blast, right? And as we're leaving, we run into this older lady, right? An older lady who knew me, who knew my family, knew my mom and everything. She was the Avon lady, right? Anyone know Avon, right? So she knew who we were, and I was like, hey! And all my friends were like, hey, you know? And so we skipped home, and then when we got, like, my neighbor lived, like, on the same floor as I did, and when we got there, like, both our parents were in the hallway of the landing, and then we were like, oh, that's weird. And we're like, hey. She was like, my mom was like, how was the class? I was like, Mom, I already know this stuff. Ask them. And so his mom asked my friend Lefty, was like, how did it go? Oh, it was so good. We learned about this and we learned about that. They were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, we did. And then all of a sudden, they pulled us to the room. Me and my mom went to our apartment. And the lady, my friend's mom and Lefty went to his apartment, and all you hear was, ah! The Avon lady sold us out. I couldn't believe it. I greeted her. I said hi. I acknowledged her very existence. And she sold me out. Sold me out. And so I've been there, right? It was like a 10-minute walk. Like, it didn't even last for 10 minutes. Right? It's crazy. Kids are horrible at hiding things. And honestly, the impulse never really goes away. We just get better at it. Even as adults, when something goes wrong, when we screw up or do something embarrassingly selfish, when a weakness threatens to surface, or when we find ourselves feeling ashamed or hurt or stuck or stupid, what do? We hide. We hide. We walk into another room. Like you maybe ever been in the office and you see someone you really don't want to see because he messed up on the work, and then you're walking in their direction and there's room, making a room, just getting out of the way. We want to hide, right? We hide from family. We hide from friends. We hide from coworkers and neighbors and people we don't even like, and at times we even hide from ourselves. And the more we live, and the more life that we live, friends, the more things we hide get progressively bigger. They get more complicated. They get layered and much darker and even more destructive. In fact, this is often what social media becomes for many of us. An elaborate hall of mirrors where we paint pictures of our best moments in order to hide the dark side of who we are. This is part of the reason we are all so surprised when someone comes out about someone, when something comes out about someone, right? Because it seems so inconsistent with the highly cultivated caricature that we see of them online. You'd assume by their Instagram that they're the happiest, most in love couple in the world, right? Then suddenly they're separated and all their pictures feature someone else now. They only post pictures of extravagant vacations, but the next time you bump into them, they're bankrupt. You thought they were the boss's favorite, and then you hear that they've been fired. One of the first things that you wonder is, did anybody see this coming? Did anybody see this coming? Was there anybody in their life who knew anything or who knew everything about them? Who kept an eye on them, right? Who was honest with them and brave enough to call them out and challenge them over their destructive behaviors? Friends, cutting out anyone willing to challenge and confront you inevitably leads to a life implosion. Think about that. Because you're not perfect. You're not perfect and don't see everything clearly. You have a tendency to only do what's easy and to hide and avoid your flaws. That's why we need a sparring partner, right? A sparring partner is someone who's also committed to growth, shares your values, works hard, and holds you accountable. That's what a sparring partner is. Scripture reiterates this over and over and over again. In Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron. In Hebrews 10:24-25, spur one another on. Right? It talks about needing someone who's going to be there to not just support you, but that's going to kind of be there and kind of push you on and help you be better and be better, right? Notice that iron and spurs are examples of uncomfortable things. Because sparring is not comfortable. Right? Sparring is not comfortable. It's strategically embracing a little bit of pain now to avoid a whole lot of pain later. Think about that in life. Whether it's sports, whether it's at work, right? Whatever the case may be, you need someone that will challenge you to be better. Challenge you to be better. In 1860, I'm going to go back, give you a little history here, right? Abraham Lincoln assembled what came to be known as the team of rivals. Anybody ever heard that before? The team of rivals. Here we go. He gathered all of his strongest critics and opponents during his campaign and placed them in his cabinet so that they could have open arguments and disagreements, forcing him to think on a higher level. He didn't believe in appointing people who thought just like him. Because as he once said, I already think like me. I need the perspectives that I'm missing. I love that quote. Think about it. You already think like yourself. Right? Right or wrong, good or bad, you already think the way you do. A sparring partner is needed so that they can help you see things, observe, connect with things that you don't normally see, think, or do. And maybe you're here thinking right now, listen, that's cool, that's really cool, but I'm not just going to give people a voice in my life. That's not how I do it. I don't trust people like that, Pastor. Yeah, and I'm sure you have your reasons. Right? I'm sure you have your reasons. Maybe you let someone in who ended up being mean to you. Maybe you let someone in who was abusive and tore you down all the time. Maybe they used what they knew about you to turn others against you instead of helping you. Maybe they only ever tell you what's wrong, but never how to make it right. Maybe they call you out in public instead of approaching you in private. All of these situations and many other situations that you have experienced, right? They did something to you. They did something to you, and now you find yourself avoiding any kind of critique or correction, even ones that are helpful and healthy in your life. To you, it all just hurts. You need constant, friends. You need constant encouragement just to stay emotionally afloat. You surround yourself with people who will flatter and agree with you even when you're wrong, when you're aggressive or self-destructive. You want to be better, but you don't want to have to acknowledge or address any of the unpleasant things about yourself that are that are really in the way. So you continue to hide your shadow. You pretend that you don't have a problem. You post only your highlights. You lie and tell people that you're fine, and you avoid true vulnerability at all costs. Friends, I've got to tell you that that's only going to work for so long. It's only going to work for so long. And even when it does, it's really lonely. There's a story in the Old Testament that speaks into this. It's a story about a guy named David who came from nothing but became an incredible warrior. He defeated longtime oppressors of their nation and made his people wealthy. He rose to power and he became king. He was known as a man of integrity, honor, and valor. He was respected and revered. He was passionate and sensitive and brave and kind and godly. He seemed like the kind of guy who could do no wrong, but he wasn't self-made. He always put people around him to help him become the kind of person that he wanted to be. He had a ride or die. Jonathan was his best friend from week one. He also had a coach, Samuel, who anointed, mentored, and challenged him and from week two. And he also had a sparring partner. This prophet named Nathan, who was also committed to growth and shared his core values of putting God first and shepherding Israel well. He was a hard worker and a truth teller. So if he agreed with you, you know that he wasn't just blowing smoke. This guy was anything but a yes man, which is why David, right, when David feels called to tackle what he thinks is a God-inspired project, he runs it by Nathan to get that level-headed advice and also ask for his help. In 2 Samuel 7, 1-3, when King David was settled in his palace and the Lord had given him rest from all the surrounding enemies, the king summoned Nathan the prophet. "Look," David said, "I am living in a beautiful cedar place, but the ark of God is out there in a tent." Verse 3, Nathan replied to the king, "Go ahead and do whatever you have in mind, for the Lord is with you." David and Nathan pushed each other, friends. They pushed each other and held each other accountable to make things happen. This was the kind of relationship that they had. If they looped each other in, they hit their goals together. That's just the way it was for them. But it's not like they were just buddies. I'm sure they liked each other, right? But this relationship that they had was more about how they balanced, challenged, and pushed one another. And everything was great until it wasn't. Because in a moment of weakness, David did something stupid, right? He did something stupid that put everything that he ever cared about or worked for in jeopardy. He had an affair with a married woman. And the guilt is crushing. And then he finds out that she is pregnant and it's his, and he begins to panic. And like all of us, he has the impulse to hide, to cover it up, to sweep it under the rug. And so he abuses his power, reroutes the course of a war, and sacrifices the lives of many innocent men in order to have her husband killed. And it works. It works. And he swoops in and he marries the girl, trying to paint himself as the hero here, all before she starts showing, so that no one would know what really took place, so that no one would know how it really went down. Part of the reason this whole thing happens is because it's one of the few moments in his life where he hides from accountability. In 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1, it tells us that it's time for war, but David doesn't go to war. He doesn't lead his army. He sent all of his generals, all of his advisors, and all of his confidants off to war while he stayed behind to take naps and leisurely walks. But here's the thing. David was not old. David was in his prime. Friends, if you want to make a mess of your life, take a break from the routines and relationships that keep you on track. That's how you make a mess of your life. You have a workout partner, but when your schedule changes, you think, man, I'll be able to do it on my own, but then you never do. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I don't need to take my medication anymore. Pretty sure those are blood pressure pills and antidepressants aren't the reasons why. Did your doctor recommend that? No, I'm just going with my gut. Back to David here. Who knows who all knew what actually happened in this story? It was more than just David, because kings are never really completely alone at all times, right? They always have servants and security detail somewhat nearby to protect and serve them. But these people around him know their place. They work for David. He's in a position of power over them, right? They're not just going to say anything. There's too much at stake here. But there's this someone who's not afraid of David, who's not afraid to say anything to David. Yeah, that's his sparring partner, Nathan. Nathan isn't just bold, he's wise. So he doesn't go straight at him. He starts with a story of a greedy shepherd who does something underhanded to get everything that he wants. And then he goes to David and he's asking David what he thinks about this hypothetical story character. Right? And here's what David says in 2 Samuel 12. It says that David was furious. As surely as the Lord lives, he vowed, any man who would do such a thing deserves to die. And I love what Nathan comes back and says in verse 7. It says, then Nathan said to David, you are that man. You are that man. Nathan confronts David. David knew what had transpired, what was going on, right? He found out, and now David is like, oh, I'm going to call him out on this. I'm his sparring partner. I'm his man, and I'm going to call him out on this. Nathan confronts David, and David, I don't know what David was smoking or drinking, but David unknowingly condemns his own actions, right? He suddenly realizes that the shepherd in this story was a metaphor about him stealing someone else's wife. He fully realizes just how wrong it was, how many people it hurt, and who the cover-up had made him become. Ever have a good friend lovingly get you to drop your guard and then force you to see something about yourself that you've been trying to hide, deny, or ignore? It's almost like, oh, you take that big gulp, right? It doesn't have to be about an affair, friends. It could be about anything. But if you've had a moment like that, it's an emotional roller coaster. You're relieved and you're also angry and somewhat grateful, but simultaneously sick to your stomach. You're not sure if you should hug them or fight them or run away from them. You feel so exposed, and although you know it's necessary, it hurts like hell, right? And the way Nathan does this, it's part of what makes him an incredible sparring partner. Friends, a good sparring partner will always confront you in private to help you instead of calling you out in public to harm you. That makes sense? Proverbs 27:6 tells us that wounds from a friend can be trusted. Wounds from a friend can be trusted. Some of you are like, man, I'm a true friend. I always tell people the truth, and I'm not afraid to say anything to anybody, anywhere. But let's be honest. If you're saying hard things to people publicly that you have little to no personal relationship with, because it makes you feel good to let you know that they are bad, that's not friendship, friends. That's not friendship. You are not someone else's sparring partner. In fact, you know Jesus' nickname for it? Satan. Satan, right? Someone who calls you out and accuses you in public, so you'll be forced to admit that you're wrong in front of an audience, right? Mark 8:33, Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan." But Nathan and David do know each other really, really well. They had a long, deep relationship. They respect and trust one another. They've earned the right to tell each other the hard things, and they both know the other would only ever do it in love, even if it stung. You know how I know this? Because of David's response. Scripture tells us in chapter 12, starting with verse 13, then David confessed to Nathan, "I have sinned against the Lord." Nathan replied, "Yes, but the Lord has forgiven you, and you won't die for this sin. Nevertheless, because you have shown utter contempt for the word of the Lord by doing this, your child will die." As soon as David confesses, the very next words out of Nathan's mouth is, "The Lord has forgiven you." The Lord has forgiven you. You see that? Forgiven. Past tense. Nathan is smart enough to know that David has already cried out to God, and he understands the enormity of the grace of God. But here's the thing, just because God forgives you doesn't mean you don't have to face the consequences or make amends. And some consequences are harsher than others. And although God doesn't always cause them, he also doesn't always absolve us of them. God forgives you for your DUI, and you're still going to have to do some jail time, right? God forgives you for cheating on your taxes, and you're still going to have to pay the IRS. Isn't this why a lot of us run off the sparring partners in our life? Because we know they won't let certain things go, which means there's very little that we can get away with. And once they call us out, the process of repairing what we broke, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. Like David, when your blind spots finally comes into focus, friends, things will get worse before they get better. But if you don't stop hiding, things will never get better. Things will never get better, because hiding doesn't keep you from hurting, it keeps you from healing. And I'm not just talking about stuff like affairs and murder. Those are the extreme, right? The idea of a sparring partner is that they would catch the small stuff before it turns into the big stuff. That's why it's important to have a sparring partner. Hey man, are you going to be that kind of dad that you want to be? I know you said that, but are you doing it? Are you taking the necessary steps? Didn't you say you were going to start working on your health this year? Did you take that next step to tithe like you said you were going to? How's being kinder to your husband going? What would he say if I asked him, right? These are the things, right? The very beginnings that a sparring partner can help you with before it gets crazy. And maybe you're thinking, I get it, right? But I don't have anyone like this in my life, right? How do I find one? What should I be looking for? And I'm going to share that real quickly with you this morning. So if you're taking notes, now's a great time to take notes. A sparring partner. Number one, a sparring partner understands your values and your weaknesses. Your sparring partner understands your values and your weaknesses. They know what you care about. They know what you're trying to do. They know the things that you're most likely to keep you, that are most likely to keep you from getting where you want to go. Nothing is more annoying than someone who doesn't know you telling you what to do. Amen? Someone who doesn't fully get you may help you succeed at all the wrong things. So you need a sparring partner who understands your values and your weaknesses. You need a sparring partner who is asking intrusive questions, right? They dig below the surface. They know the key to breakthrough is likely the details that you're hiding from everyone else. They ask you to question your behavior, your motives, and your attitudes. They want you to wrestle with not just what you do, but why you do it. When you avoid a question or give a very surface answer, they just ask you again and again and again till they get to the very core, right? A sparring partner, number three, holds a mirror up to you. Like a mirror, a sparring partner tells you the whole truth about yourself. Not just the good stuff or the bad stuff, all of the stuff. This is how you come off, right? This is what you're doing, right? This is what you're like at this moment. This frustrates people about you. This is where you're gifted. This is your blind spot. This is where you excel. Right? You need someone to speak into those things, right? Other people will lie to you and flatter you or only tell you what you did well. But a sparring partner makes sure that you see the full picture of yourself, even the ugly parts. Number four, a sparring partner always has critiques. They can't just tell you how you did good. They're also going to tell you how it could be even better. Sure, you won the game, but you made several mistakes that will cost you in the next game. And that's what we're going to work on from now on, right? They keep circling back. They never let things go. They want to see you at your best, which is why they don't listen to your excuses or believe any of your, abbreviated BS. Number five, a sparring partner will fight your issues with you, right? Unlike your enemy, they won't fight you. And unlike a coach, they won't just tell you what to do. A sparring partner will throw on a mouth guard and take the field with you. Ever seen when football players start hitting each other in the helmet and the pads? That's what you'd be like, that was kind of wrong. But that's what a sparring partner would do. Let's do this. Let's go get it, right? They demand that you keep fighting until you're finished. They're not going to baby you. Someone in this role will seldom say, I'm so sorry. This is so hard. You can quit whenever you want. No, they won't say that kind of stuff. They're going to say, get up. You've got more in you. Don't stop now. Let's go. There's a lot more to do, and we're going to do it together. So why are they like this? Why is a sparring partner like this? Sparring partner is like this because a good sparring partner doesn't just want you to feel better. They want you to get better. They want you to get better, right? Without a sparring partner, you won't push yourself hard enough to reach your full potential. Newsflash, you won't be able to do this on your own. You need the right people around you. And in this case, you need a sparring partner. So let me wrap this up this morning. Here's your homework. I love giving homework, right? First, how many of you have been doing your devotions at home with your family? Aren't they incredible? Like literally, we do ours and there's tears. And people are expressing things that the people that you live in the same house with don't even know. You're smiling and there's laughs. And so if you haven't started the devotion, you can pick it up at any time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we have a free devotion that we do every month. It's outside at the Connect booth. Just ask Wendy or one of the people at the booth and just say, hey, Pastor, you was talking about this devotion book. Can I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever? But I want to encourage you to do the devotions. Like, I've been raising my kids in the ministry and the things of the Lord since they were born. Just this week was a powerful one for us, right? And so I want to encourage you to do the devotions. Carve out the time. Set a reminder on your phone. Carve it out. Some of it will take you 10 minutes. Like if there's only a few of us, there's 5 of us in the house, so ours takes a little bit longer. Because people got things to say and share. Carve out. You'll be blessed by it, I promise you. Back to your homework. Getting it out of your homework. Back to your homework here. This is the homework for you this morning. I'm trying to get back into my notes here because it locked me out. I want you to regularly invite someone who knows you well to point out your blind spots to you. Listen to them and begin to make adjustments. Right? Find someone that you love and they love you, who knows you well, right? And allow them to speak to you about the blind spots in your life, the things that you are not seeing currently. Listen to them and begin to make adjustments. It's going to be so good for you. So good for you. What if you were brave enough to actually invite 1 or 2 people in your life to never pull punches, to address your weaknesses, to ask intrusive questions, to hold the mirror up to you, to give you their critiques and fight your issues alongside you? How different would life be for you? I think it would be significantly different. I would say in 6 months' time, it would turn you into a completely different person. And for the better, a better person. But asking them to do this is going to be hard. It's going to be so uncomfortable. And the first few times it gets real, it's going to feel painful enough for you to want to bail, for you to leave. But I want you to stick with it. I want you to stick with it. Because like David, your sparring partner doesn't just make you better. They make everything that you do and everyone that you interact with better. And isn't that our goal here on life? To bring glory and honor to God, to be and to do better in our journey here on earth. So yeah, it's going to be tough. Yeah, you're not going to like it one bit. Their punches are going to hurt. Anybody ever been punched? It hurts. It hurts. Funny story, my mom used to discipline me, and she didn't throw punches. She was a short lady. She was like 5'5". And then the one day she smacked me, and I smiled. She was like, "Oh, okay." She walked away, and I was like, yeah. She came and hit me with a frying pan the next time. Woo! Guess who wasn't smiling and didn't stop disrespecting mama? This guy right here. They're going to hurt, but it's going to be better for you. It's going to make you a better person, a better husband, a better wife, a better child, a better in-laws, a better grandparents, a better co-worker, a better friend, a better neighbor, a better follower of Jesus. We got to stop running away from the hard stuff. Amen? Let's pray. Lord Heavenly.
South Hills Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the 3rd way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances, and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you, and thank you for watching our online service today.